Hey friends, my name is Daniel, and today I'll be telling you a story that's not easy to sit with. It comes from a man named Caleb, a 34-year-old freelance graphic designer living in a quiet suburb just outside of Flagstaff, Arizona. His wife, Maya, also 34, works as a receptionist in a bustling law firm downtown. They've been together for 7 years and married for 5. No children, just a lot of silence these days. For the last 3 years, Caleb has been working from home. He admits he had fallen into a rut. Life dulled out, the relationship dulled with it. He became complacent, emotionally distant, and admits he stopped putting in the effort. It wasn't all her fault, he says. Maya had her own struggles, communication issues, and aversion to intimacy, but they'd become more like polite strangers than lovers. Roommates who sometimes brushed hands in the kitchen and felt nothing. He found out Maya was having an emotional affair almost immediately, not because she told him, but because, in a strangely obsessive way, he had access to everything. Her email was synced to the old family computer. Texts, cloud backups, social media. He never looked for it, but once he saw the first message, he couldn't stop. He watched it all unfold in silence. Every word, every emoji, every little betrayal typed out in real time. It became physical around the 4-week mark. Caleb remembers that day. He didn't cry, he didn't yell. He sat back in his chair and realized he felt nothing. Not sadness, not even anger, just a dull, numb emptiness. That was the moment he knew the marriage was over. Not because she cheated, but because he couldn't bring himself to care. He even started researching divorce lawyers. He imagined a quiet, mutual split. Maybe a few signed papers, an awkward goodbye, and then freedom, or something like it. But then something strange happened. The weekend after her affair turned physical, Maya walked into his home office and asked if he'd like to go hiking with her. Caleb blinked, unsure if he'd heard right. Part of him thought this was it, that she was going to come clean and ask for a divorce. Maybe this was her way of softening the blow. But it wasn't. They packed a small picnic, drove out to the trails behind Walnut Canyon, and spent the day like nothing had ever gone wrong. She laughed. He laughed too. It felt like visiting an old version of themselves, one that had vanished long ago. He thought it was just a one-time thing, a swan song, one last good memory before the end. But then she asked to go out again the next week, and again after that. They began sleeping together again, initiated mostly by her. Caleb didn't understand it. Was it guilt, regret, maybe just fear? But she started talking more, opening up, being present, and Caleb, for reasons he still can't explain, responded to it. He started cleaning up the house, got back in touch with friends, dusted off the treadmill that had become a coat rack. The affair didn't stop, he knew that, but somehow it didn't matter. He had made peace with it, or maybe buried it deep enough that it stopped stinging. They began having date nights again, Thursday dinners, walks on Sunday mornings. Intimacy returned, so did the laughter. Caleb told himself he could forget about the affair. He loved her. Somehow, through all of it, he still did. But then, 2 days ago, everything cracked. He noticed Maya texting someone constantly, long, frequent messages. Not her affair partner this time. He asked about it. She explained that her friend's husband had just been caught cheating and she was helping her through it. Caleb nodded, tried to let it go, until Maya started ranting about how disgusting cheaters were, how selfish, how unforgivable. He doesn't even remember why he said it, but the words slipped out before he could stop them. You're one to judge. And everything froze. Maya's face went pale. Her eyes narrowed. She asked what he meant, pressed harder when he tried to brush it off. Caleb tried to apologize, to change the subject, but she wasn't letting go. And for the first time in 2 years, the silence between them shattered. She wouldn't stop pressing. Her voice, sharp, insistent, kept cutting through the space between us. And then it happened. I broke. I told her the truth. I've known about the affair the whole time. Maya froze for a second, then narrowed her eyes and asked, "What are you talking about?" She tried to play dumb. That hurt more than I expected. I'd seen the late-night texts, the smiling selfies, the messages calling someone else baby, and now she was pretending I was crazy. So I gave her the details: where they met, what time the messages came in, the emoji she used to sign off, the lunch breaks that went 20 minutes too long, the days I sat at my desk upstairs while she giggled downstairs on the phone. She started crying, not quiet tears, loud, wounded sobs. "You didn't care," she screamed. "You let this go on. You didn't stop me." I don't know what switch flipped in me, but I shouted back, "I'm not the one who cheated." It was the first time in years either of us had raised our voice in the house. But once it started, neither of us could stop. All the bitterness, all the resentment we'd buried, it came pouring out, messy and unfiltered. Eventually, we split off to separate rooms like two kids after a fight. She locked the bedroom door. I slept on the couch. The next morning, she was already gone before I even opened my eyes. I walked into the kitchen to the eerie silence of her absence and made coffee I didn't want. Out of habit more than anything, I checked the synced cloud messages again. And that's when I saw it. She'd ended it. She had finally told him it was over, blocked him on every app. But the man was relentless, sending messages on every platform like he was clinging to the last branch before the fall. She didn't respond to any of them. That afternoon, she came home early. I was waiting in the hallway when she opened the door, trying to find the right words, but she beat me to it. Her face blank, she looked up at me and whispered, "How could you just let it happen?" I didn't lie. I told her, because I didn't care. That was it. The last thread holding us together snapped right there in the hallway. Her lips trembled. "You're a monster," she whispered, voice trembling as she brushed past me and shut the bedroom door again. I heard the lock click. She didn't come out that night, didn't speak a word. Just silence behind the wall that used to mean safety. I sat on the couch, phone in hand, staring into the blue glow like it had answers. I keep asking myself, is there any possible version of this story where I'm the villain? I didn't cheat, I didn't lie, I didn't even yell until she forced it out of me. But maybe my indifference made me just as cruel. Maybe feeling nothing when someone betrays you is its own kind of violence. That's what some people online are saying. One person wrote, "The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference." That one hit me. Another commenter added, "Cheaters expect fury, pain, some kind of proof that they mattered, and when they get nothing, it breaks them in a different way." Someone else said, "Most affairs stem from low self-esteem, that the person cheating is looking for validation, for someone to say, 'You're still lovable.' And when they get caught, but the person they betrayed doesn't care, it confirms the thing they feared most. They were never enough." I don't know if that's true for Maya, but it made me think. One person was harsh. They said she wasn't upset because of what she did, but because she got caught and couldn't spin it anymore. That she wanted to be seen as the victim. That she was embarrassed, not remorseful. Maybe. I honestly can't tell the difference anymore. I gave a small update online, just a few lines. She came to me late last night, around 12:30, curled up beside me on the office couch. We didn't talk right away. She cried. A lot. I didn't touch her, just sat there, letting the weight of her guilt and my numbness fill the air. Eventually, we talked. Not enough to fix anything, but enough to know we weren't done unraveling yet. She had to go to work this morning, said we'd talk more tonight. I don't know where we stand, not really, but I'm starting to understand just how badly I've mishandled all of this. Before I go on, I should probably clarify something. EA means emotional affair, and PA means physical affair. I didn't realize the shorthand might confuse people, so I'm sorry for that. Anyway, I wanted to give an update. First, thank you to everyone who offered genuine thoughts and support. To the ones who came just to insult me, I hope you find the help you clearly need. I didn't end up showing Maya the original post or the comments. I thought I would at first, but instead I used them to collect my thoughts. I needed a map before diving into the mess. The conversations we've had since that night haven't been clean or simple. It's not like reading from a script. We've been bouncing from one topic to another, circling back, unraveling old knots while creating new ones. I'll try to lay it out here as clearly as I can. It started Friday night, around 12:30 a.m. Maya came out of the bedroom and quietly slipped into my office, where I was still sitting in the dark. She curled up beside me on the old couch and said nothing. Just cried. For 15, maybe 20 minutes. I didn't touch her. I didn't speak. I just let her cry. Eventually, when she was ready, we began to talk. Not angrily this time, just broken voices in the middle of the night. It went on until we were both too tired to keep our eyes open. We picked it up again the next evening, and again this morning. It's been emotionally exhausting. We've both cried, argued, apologized, and somehow found pieces of ourselves still left in the wreckage. The hardest part was the phone call. She asked if I'd sit with her while she ended it with him. I agreed. Hearing her speak to him, softly, regretfully, was like pressing salt into a wound I'd thought had gone numb. He knew she was calling to end it. He wasn't angry, just sad. She explained that what they had came from loneliness and that it couldn't continue, that she needed to rebuild her marriage. He didn't beg, didn't fight, just let her go. After the call ended, she looked at me and whispered, "I never thought you'd still be here." That's when we started talking about how all of this began. She told me that back then it felt like no matter what she did, she couldn't get through to me, that she was lonely, starved for attention. I didn't deny it. She wasn't wrong. But I also told her I don't remember her trying that hard. She nodded slowly, admitting she mostly hinted at things instead of saying them outright. She never really asked for what she needed, and I wasn't present enough to notice. There was no single moment that pushed her over the edge, just a buildup of neglect. When the other man showed up, all flirty jokes and easy attention, it felt like oxygen. Her words, not mine. After years of feeling invisible, someone was finally seeing her. Of course it escalated. Texts, secrets, personal stories, eventually kissing. And everything after that came quickly. She told me she was ashamed, that she hated herself for not ending it once we started reconnecting. But she didn't want to. He was attentive, romantic, easy. She convinced herself I'd never find out and that what I didn't know couldn't hurt me. Now that she knows I did know, has known for 2 years, it makes her feel sick. "I feel like such an idiot," she said. We also talked about my surveillance. She asked how I found out. I told her about the old desktop computer in my office, how it had never been logged out of anything. Our email, Facebook, Instagram, everything had been synced and never wiped. She said that felt like a betrayal too. I agreed. I told her I had no excuse. I didn't even try to justify it. But we both agreed that if we were going to attempt to rebuild from this, we'd have to forgive a lot. Maybe too much. We came back to that moment a few nights ago, when I said I didn't care. She told me it shattered something inside her. It brought her right back to the version of me she used to cry over at night, the distant, cold man she thought had stopped loving her. I told her it wasn't that I didn't care. I care more than I can say. I changed for her, for us. These last 2 years, I've been trying. I just didn't know how to say that the affair didn't bother me, not the way people expect it to. I don't feel jealousy. I don't feel the burn most people describe. It's not indifference. It's something else, and even I don't fully understand it. But I'm trying. We both are. When I told Maya that her happiness had made everything feel worth it to me, she just stared at me, like she didn't know whether to cry or scream. And I meant it. I did. Her affair, as awful as it was, shook me awake. It forced me to move, to care again, to reach for something instead of sitting still in silence. In some twisted, painful way, I've convinced myself it was a blessing. These last couple of years, I've felt more alive than I had in the years before. But none of that changes the damage. After I confessed that I had known the whole time and she finally cut him off, Maya spiraled. She told me everything suddenly felt fake, like the entire foundation of her life had cracked, and now she was tumbling through the pieces. She blocked him everywhere, stopped talking to me, and stayed locked away for hours. Not out of anger, but shame. She kept saying she had failed both of us. I listened to her call with him. It was harder than I expected. I wasn't prepared for how raw it would sound. She told him that it was over, that it had to be, and that she was going to fight for our marriage. He didn't yell or argue. He didn't try to guilt her. He just sounded hurt. Really, genuinely hurt. I think he loved her, or thought he did. And part of me, some bitter part, thinks he always believed we would fall apart eventually, that he'd be there to pick up the pieces. But she made it clear that wasn't going to happen. After the call, she re-blocked him and told me she needed to go completely no contact so he could move on, so we could move on. She wants to focus on healing, and she asked to start individual counseling first. Once she's been going for a while, we'll try couples therapy. That part, at least, gives me a sliver of hope. We're also taking small steps toward a symbolic reset. I'm getting a new work computer, disconnecting from the old one where everything was synced, where all those messages lived. A clean start, in the smallest way. We promise to be open and honest with each other, day by day, and to show up in our lives like we used to, before the distance, before the hurt. I love this woman, still. Maybe that's what hurts the most. There are people asking about polyamory or open marriage, but Maya never described herself with any label like that. She called herself unfaithful, a cheater. That was it. I don't have the strength to entertain a bigger conversation right now, not when we're still wading through the wreckage of this one. Someone asked if I've ever been tested for things like depression or autism. I haven't. I was raised with the idea that emotions were private, that men didn't cry unless someone had died. I've always been stoic, at least outwardly. I know how to be social, how to read a room, but when it comes to my own feelings, I often feel like I'm watching them from the outside, not actually sitting in them. I'm not sure what that means, but I know I don't feel things the way others expect me to. I wish I did. This might not be the kind of update people were hoping for. It's not triumphant, it's not conclusive, but it's real. This is where we are today. Bruised, uncertain, but still here. Tomorrow? I don't know. All I can do is take it one painful, honest day at a time. And yes, I've read the comments. Some of them sting. One person said Maya was a hypocrite, condemning her friend's husband for cheating while hiding her own affair. Another said she would have kept going if I hadn't exposed her, that her tears weren't for what she did, but because she got caught. I get that. It's not easy to trust someone after that. A few said I'd set the stage for her to cheat again, that my silence, my strange emotional distance, created a space where she could do it again and expect the same muted response. But people don't see the whole picture. They're reading 10 paragraphs. I'm living 10,000 moments, and most of those moments lately are filled with Maya breaking down in front of me, apologizing over and over, trying to understand how we got here. Most of our talks are her digging through her own pain and guilt, not accusing me, not blaming me, just trying to make sense of the mess she helped create. I know this doesn't read like a resolution. It isn't. It's just a man and a woman in their mid-30s trying to crawl out of something they both let fall apart, and hoping they still have something left to save. Some people in the comments said what happened between Maya and me was just two people falling out of love, that neither of us fought hard enough to stop the slow unraveling. And maybe they're right. Maybe the saddest part isn't even the betrayal, it's the quiet, mutual forgetting that came before it. The way we let the space between us grow wider and then pretended it was normal. No, it doesn't excuse what she did. Nothing ever really could. But it makes the pain harder to place. Because if I was just the victim of her choices, then at least I could hold on to some clean sense of anger. But when I look back, I see both of us disappearing by inches. And so I ask the same question that's been eating at me. Could you ever move past something like this? I don't know if I can. I want to. God, I want to. But there are days when the weight of it all just presses down too hard. Days when her voice sounds like love again, and others when it sounds like a ghost. I suppose time will answer that question, if we let it. But for now, we keep going, one broken day at a time. Anyway, I've talked enough about my own wreckage. There was another story that came across my feed, and while it's different in every way, it still carries the same quiet ache of disappointment. It's from a woman. We'll call her Sarah. She's 49 now, living in Santa Fe, New Mexico. 6 years ago, she married her second husband, Michael, who's 54. Sarah has a 9-year-old daughter from her first marriage, and Michael has 2 older children from his previous one, Ethan, 20, and Emma, 19. Emma, though, has never accepted her. Sarah had been a widow when she met Michael. Her late husband had left her a modest inheritance, one she never touched because she had a good job and never wanted more than what she had. When she and Michael got married, she did everything she could to blend their families. Ethan, the son, took to her quickly. He even treated her daughter like a little sister. But Emma was different. From the very beginning, Emma pushed Sarah away. There was no warmth, no curiosity, only distance and resentment. She lashed out, especially at Sarah's daughter, would barely be in the same room with her. It got so bad that Sarah's daughter would follow her everywhere, terrified to be left alone when Emma was home. When Emma turned 15, she made the decision to move in full-time with her mother. She never looked back. Sarah never wanted to make things harder than they already were. She stayed out of Emma's way, tried to be civil, but the rejection stung. Still, she carried on. And last year, she even used part of her late husband's inheritance to help pay for Ethan's college tuition. She planned to do the same for her own daughter someday. Now, Emma was furious. She found out about the money, about Sarah helping Ethan, called Sarah names, accused her of being unfair, accused her of never treating her like family. Michael, Sarah's husband, was caught in the middle. He said Sarah should try harder to be just, that Emma deserved the same. But Sarah was tired of being painted as the villain in a story she never got to write. She explained to Michael that Emma never accepted her, never treated her daughter with kindness, and never wanted her in their lives. That love isn't something you owe, it's something you offer. And if Emma never offered even the smallest piece of it, how could Sarah be expected to pretend? Still, the guilt lingered. Even now, telling the story online, Sarah admitted she was sad, that the situation broke her heart, but not enough to hand over more of the only thing she had left from a man who once loved her fully. Not enough to keep paying for someone who never wanted her around. The comments were mixed, as always. Some said Sarah was right, that Emma wasn't entitled to anything, that you can't demand the rewards of family if you've never shown up for it. Others tried to look deeper. They asked questions about how old Emma had been when her parents split, how hard it must have been to watch her father start a new life with a new wife and a new child, about whether anyone had ever tried to help her feel like she still mattered. And that's what always cuts the deepest, isn't it? We're all just trying to be okay. Some of us have sharper tools. Others just learn to live with the dull ache. When you marry someone with children, you're not just marrying the person, you're stepping into an already existing world, and that world doesn't always have space for you. That's something Maya's been learning in real time. Her daughter, Emma, was 13 when Maya and I got married, and while Ethan, her son, embraced me quickly, Emma always kept her distance. I wasn't trying to be her dad, she already had one. But I did hope, over time, we'd build something respectful, something safe. That didn't happen. Emma saw me as an intruder. She ignored me in conversations, rolled her eyes at my suggestions, and never spoke to my daughter unless it was in bitterness. Eventually, she left to live with her mom full-time. I never blamed her. I didn't even resent her. But it still hurt. Now she's asking Maya for help with college tuition. Maya helped Ethan last year. She plans to do the same for her own daughter. But when it came to Emma, she hesitated. And when she said no, Emma exploded, called her names, said it was proof Maya never cared. Maya sent a short message in return. "Hi, Emma. Unfortunately, I don't have the means to cover your tuition. I'm not sure why you'd expect it. I'm happy to help you look for part-time work if you'd like. I know many students who do that, including myself. I wish you the best." Emma replied simply, "Okay, whatever, bitch." And just like that, it was clear the bridge was gone, burned to ashes. This story is one of many that reflect how complicated blended families can be, especially when emotional wounds go unacknowledged for years. Being a step-parent is not just about showing up, it's about navigating the spaces between what's offered and what's accepted. Love cannot be forced, and respect cannot be demanded. It has to be nurtured with patience, empathy, and boundaries. If you're in a situation like Maya's, where you're giving more than you're receiving, it's okay to protect your peace. You're allowed to set boundaries with people, even if they're family. At the same time, it's crucial to reflect honestly on whether any early efforts were made to understand the emotional upheaval children go through during remarriage. Offer compassion where you can, but never at the cost of your own mental health. Sometimes love is shown by stepping back, even when it hurts.